Hello and welcome to Friday, June 26th. I am Michael Bean and this is myfreeactingclass.com. From there you can find links to everything, including confidenceoncamera.com, which is information about all of my projects, and screenactingschool.com, which is all of Kirsten's projects. And if you want to watch past videos of this lesson, if you're like, man, I wish that there was a whole bunch of these videos out there that I could watch, that's where you'd find it. Today we have joining us the fabulous Patrick Sabongui, and I still am not sure how I'm going to narrow down all of the things I want to ask him to talk about, because he's just that amazing. I told him to come late so that he wouldn't have to hear me talk about how amazing he is. So Patrick has been a stunt person and a stunt coordinator. He's been a director and producer of his own projects. He's a very, very experienced actor. He's a very experienced acting teacher, and he actually is currently in the process of moving to New York so he can helm the Bachelor of Fine Arts acting program at CUNY Brooklyn. So let's quickly look at him on IMDb so you don't just have to take my word for how amazing he is, and then we'll talk to him in person and you can see for yourself. Me. So Patrick Sabongui, here we go. Actually, why don't we start with looking at Patrick's website, and we'll read the description that he's put on there so we can use his words. He's an actor, producer, director, program director, teacher, and stuntman. His most recent projects include a lead role as Hassan al-Afshar in Sony Crackle's first original drama, The Art of More, as Captain David Singh on the CW's The Flash. He's also co-director for the nonprofit Fulfilling Young Artists, that's in Vancouver. We can get him to tell you about it. Managing director of Life Force Films, founder and lead instructor at ACT Vancouver, and program developer and facilitator for the Sivangi Organizational Solutions. Here is his IMDb page. That's Sean Bean right there. We're going to see a clip of that in his demo reel not too long from now. Three older brothers. So maybe I will copy and paste this so that you can look at this in more detail yourself, should you so desire. Why don't we post that in the chat window? So for anybody who's like, I love to multitask. Well, there you go. You can now multitask and look at Patrick Sabongui on IMDb. The Homeland, 300, The Flash. We're not going to look at all of these credits because there's just too many of them. You can see there's 100 and something credits on here, and when you see 116 credits, this, all 40 episodes of The Flash that he was in is listed as just one of those credits. So he has an enormous amount of experience. If we scroll down and down and down, we're down several pages now, and we're still only at 2018. So again, you've got the link there if you want to go and look at him in detail. Let's quickly watch a couple of clips from his demo reel. My thought is that he will be with us shortly thereafter. So here's Patrick in Homeland with Claire Danes. If I can get it.
Isn't the arrangement we made, Carrie?
What do you mean?
Our partnership. You were supposed to secure funding, investigate, advise. What you weren't supposed to do was take matters into your own hands. Break the law.
I'm sorry, Red. I fucked up.
Yeah.
Oops. Haha, let's just pretend she said screwed up and that I had vetted this very carefully before showing it to you. We'll see a quick clip of him on Flash.
Until Martin's caught.
David, you said it yourself. That son of a bitch killed my partner.
And I'm not going to lose you the way I lost Fred Shire. Look, I can't stop you from being pissed, Joe, but I can keep you safe. Maybe your daughter can contact the Flash.
I'm not getting it.
And then, you know what? It's so laggy that probably this is looking terrible on your end because it's looking kind of terrible on my end. And besides, by now, probably Patrick Sabongui is here and we can talk to him in person. So let's see if I can find Patrick. Patrick Sabongui, there he is. Of course, he's the one with the professional looking blue background. So there he is.
Hello, everyone.
Patrick, I don't know how much of the me bragging about how amazing you are. You heard nice quarantine beard. Oh, I haven't seen that at all.
No, thanks. We got matching beards. I actually popped in a bit earlier, so you can see me blushing from you speaking so highly of me. I appreciate the introduction.
So, Patrick, my internet is a little bit laggy, but that won't affect sort of you talking to everybody.
Okay.
I've also already made somebody else the co-host. So if for any reason my internet cuts out, you just take over, and talk about whatever you want to talk about and take questions. The now, have you done many of these like Zoom calls or coachings yet?
I've done a fair share. I mean, you mentioned that I'm heading to New York soon. I'm the new head of the BFA acting program at Brooklyn College. So we've been doing a lot of faculty meetings, and I've been meeting all of my future students and all of the teachers. I mean, this is kind of the biggest collection of folks that I've spoken to directly, but I've done my fair share of Zoom meetings.
Great, just so you know how to put it in gallery view so you can see everybody's faces, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of enjoy seeing myself in the big frame, but I'm kidding. But yeah, I see all y'all. I see everyone.
Great. One of the reasons that we wanted you to come in today is because we've been trying to get experienced actors, and decision makers to come and talk to us about their experience, on both sides. There's like a range of experience sort of here in the room, as it were. Some people are brand new, and don't have agents and haven't auditioned. Some people have been auditioning and have already, booked some professional work. We've also got both kids and adults, because Kirsten Clarkson and I both have been teaching both age groups, and so we just mash it all together. But just like talk openly, and if people have questions, we'll assume that they're going to jump in. So I want to leave it as open-ended as possible. But I would love to have you talk about sort of what you see in terms of with all of your different hats. What's happening in acting right now? Like, what are you envisioning? Sort of what are the opportunities? And this is stuff that we've been talking about, but every time we get to hear it in a new voice, I think it lands in a different way. So I would appreciate your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, and I think you guys are very lucky to be studying with Michael and Biz Studios. You've got a wealth of knowledge, and they're good people, and they really care about what they do. And I think that's really, really important in actor training. And that kind of leads into where I think acting is going now, is that you all have an opportunity now to collaborate with each other and to get your voices out there that we never really had before. With the internet and all of the social media stuff, all of the streaming services, I think there are way more opportunities for you all to be self-starters. So self-starters, for those of you who might not know, is when you get stuff done yourself. You don't have to wait around for your agent to call you. You don't have to wait around to get hired to act. You all have a film studio in your pocket. You're all able to shoot your own films and tell your own stories and to get them out there. And so I think the art of acting has been democratized, which means we all have access to it now. You don't have to wait for somebody else's permission to do it. In terms of the profession of acting, that's always going to be there. You're always going to have to hustle. You're always going to have to, promotional materials and demos and headshots and all of that stuff is always going to be, there's always going to be an industry for you to try to get professional work in. But you have to start with being an artist. You have to start with telling your own stories, knowing who you are as a person, and how to put that into your artistry. That's going to, make your life way more fulfilling. And it's also going to make you a more interesting actor, which in turn is going to get you hired more. So it starts with you knowing who you are, telling your own stories, figuring out how to make stuff, and then posting it and sharing it with the world. So you guys are coming into the industry with advantages that we never had. I mean, we could always make theater. You know, we can always do our little independent theater projects. But you guys have an opportunity now to make things, to figure out your unique artistic voice, and to share that with much broader audience. And shout out to Josh Zaharia. I see him right there. He's been in this very room for a coaching. How you doing, Josh?
Great. Thank you so much, Patrick. That's a fantastic place to start. I'm going to see if I can pull it up, but I've got a breakdown that I just received via a client from Candace Elsinga. It's for a new project that's casting in town, and it says right on the breakdown, casting all BC actors. Right, it's like 18 recurring roles. You know, it's the kind of big TV show where normally they would cast a bunch of the leads elsewhere, and this one actually says we are casting all BC actors. We go to camera 1st of August.
Wow.
Right, so the casting director started talking about that a couple of weeks ago, but it's actually happening now, which is really fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Can you talk a little bit about that? You know, from your kind of making your own stuff side of things. You know, from the being on the other side of the table. You know, when an actor comes in, what is it? You know, that grabs you. Like, can you articulate that top level thing of like find your own voice, share your own voice? I think is so useful. But can you put into concrete terms just a little bit what that looks like or feels like to you when somebody sends in a tape and you're watching the tape and it looks like that? You know, like
you know what I compare it to? So I got a couple of kids, about the age of some of the faces I see here, and every now and then, you know, my son will see some meme or some Instagram post that he's super excited to share with me. He's like, Dad, I want you to. So, you know, Von Miller posted this thing, and, you know, he's a super excited football fan, right? And he has this energy when he's excited to share a meme or some post with me that is infectious. He's excited to share this thing that he's excited about with me. And that's the energy that is irresistible in an audition. I don't care what the scene is. I don't care how much you look like the character. If you are excited about the work you get to share with the auditioner, I'm going to be excited for you. You could be so wrong for the part. But if you're like, hey, I'm Patrick Sabongui and I'm going to play, do the scene, and I can sense that you're so excited to share with me the discoveries you've made about this character, I'm going to be excited about watching it. Because what I'm really after as a filmmaker is passion, is heart, is a unique perspective or a point of view. I may have seen 26 other people do this exact same scene. I'm not interested in you doing it right. I'm interested in you having a unique take on it and being excited to share it. And even if you find one little thing, if it's a 3-page scene, but there's a moment where, you know, my character is going to take a sip from this cup, but there's a fly in it. And then I'm going to take my sip. If you're so excited about that fly and you can't wait to get to that part, then there's an enthusiasm for the audition you're about to do. And that enthusiasm, that excitement is contagious. It wasn't a real fly, that was acting.
Wonderful. And then as an actor, can you talk a little bit about, you know, what gets you excited, you know, when you're preparing work, and just talk about your own process a little bit, and then I think we'll open it up for questions.
Sure. To be honest, it's changed. You know, I've been at this for quite a while, and once I figure myself out as an actor, the world goes and changes, or I change, or I get married, or I have kids, or I move to a new country, and so I change. And so my relationship to my work is always evolving, and I think that's okay. You know, it used to be that I was excited about doing well. I was excited about pleasing my agent or pleasing the casting director. And I don't think my work was particularly interesting then. And then at some point, I started to, because I'm a dad and I care about the kind of stories that we tell. And when I started really caring about the stories that I'm telling and the characters that I'm playing, and I have a social or a political point of view about that character, about why this character is important, and start caring about the character, I feel like I came into my work and my work got better. So it really, it all goes back to my personal perspective and my personal relationship with this character. I'm not really interested in how other people are going to play it. I'm not interested in how they're going to get it right. I'm interested in, like, am I being unique to myself? So, you know, and I think it's important to do the work, you know, is to do the analysis, to write things down, to mark up the beats, to make action choices, to choose objectives, and really be specific with the relationship of every single character that's in the scene with you, because that then allows me to act less and just react and be present more.
And so, based on what you said about, like, sort of the fly in the coffee cup, you know, with very small roles, it sounds like the thing is getting excited about some piece of craft, you know, that you, just like that engages you. And then, you know, with more substantial roles, it's finding why that matters to you, like why it means something to you. But either way, you're still finding something that's, like, meaningful for yourself in the role, regardless of the size of it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, because each of you is gonna like fall in love with a different piece of the scene that you're working on. If it's one line or no lines, or if it's just a look somewhere, you have to find the thing that you're gonna fall in love with and be excited to work on that day, no matter the size of the role. And honestly, bigger parts get broken down as we shoot anyway. So everything comes down to one moment or one line or one look or one. So you're constantly finding things to fall in love with within the scene. Shout out to Glenn. I see Glenn right there. I know you too. What's up?
See, it's Patrick Sabongui. He knows people.
So I hope that makes sense. But you know, you have to find your unique connection to what you're working on, because that's what's going to let your uniqueness shine through, and that's what it's all about.
Let's open it up for questions. Now, all of you, if in the participants tab on your browser, you'll find you can raise your hand, and just, like, there's a little blue hand in the corner of your screen. That's the easiest for me. You know, if you are enthusiastic and you just want to wave your hands in front of the camera until we notice you, that works too. But, you know, like, you might have to keep doing it for a couple of minutes while somebody else is talking.
Well, Ava's been waving and dancing.
Totally. Well, good. Let's start with Ava. Hi, Ava. You're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Go ahead. Ask a question.
Well, I have a question. Is it hard or easy to be, like, a stunt double? Do you have to, like, know a whole bunch of, like, tricks, like backflips and stuff like that to be a stunt double?
Yep. Yeah. You know, a lot of the people that end up being stunt performers competed in world championship levels in something. You know, it's people who are gold medalists in the Olympics, or circus performers for Cirque du Soleil, or race car drivers, or world-class martial arts champions. After they've done that, then they come into the stunt world and apply that level of expertise to what they're doing. So it is dangerous, and it takes a lot of work. And to be a stunt person, you have to be training and learning new skills all the time. Does
that answer your question, Eva?
Yep.
Great. Maddox.
Where did you start acting? Like in theater or in, like, film and TV?
I started acting in my bed when I didn't want to go to school, and I was trying to pretend I was sick and tell my mom I don't want to go to school. But I guess you meant more specifically, like, professionally. I think I I started in the theater. I started doing local theater in Montreal. And because I had a very physical background, I also got very interested in stage combat. There are a lot of classical plays that have a lot of sword fighting and knife fighting and cape and dagger fighting. So I got really into all that kind of stuff, and started working a little bit in the theater. And then I went back to school. And once I graduated from my undergraduate degree, I decided to start to get into film and TV. And then I kept going, like my whole life, I kept going to theater, film and TV, then back to school. And then theater, film and TV, back to school, then producing, and then back to school. So I love training. I love studying. I love learning new things. And I can't seem to decide on one thing. So I keep moving from city to city, teaching more. Like I'm going back to school again. This time I'm the professor, but for me, it's still another learning opportunity. But it's all tied up for me. It's all wrapped up in my artistry.
Can you talk a little bit about that transition from between theater and film and TV? Just for actors here who do one and may not do the other, or who are interested in doing both?
Yeah, I think what is really important is the truth of the moment. And the moment includes the audience, right? We can't kid ourselves. It's not like I don't actually become the character. You don't actually become the character. That's madness, right? We're still aware that we're in a pretend situation. We're seeking the truth within ourselves. But in terms of transitioning from theater to film or TV, you have to include the camera, or you have to include the audience, or you have to include the balcony into the moment. So we talk about what is the difference between theater and film and TV. Well, I mean, I've seen movies. Y'all seen Lord of the Rings? How do you play an orc? That's acting, right? And they're like loud, and it's all very physical. That's bigger than some theater performances I've seen. And I've seen some theater performances that are really, small space, and you could barely hear them from the front row. But that's theater, and for them, they included the front row of the audience, and that was the truth of that moment. So I think, in terms of the difference between film, TV, or theater, you always have to include the tone and the style of the show, regardless of the medium. And you have to find a way to include that third circle, which is the audience or the camera.
Dia's been hanging on to her question, so.
Yeah. Hi. Firstly, thank you so much. This has been incredibly insightful. I just had a question in regards to, so I'm obviously have done training, and you've done obviously so much training, and you have such an array of background. But if you could just remember early on, maybe what was like a breakthrough you had, or something that just kind of maybe a mistake you were making that we might be making, or something that just kind of propelled you, or was it a change in mindset, or what do you think might be helpful in that?
Well, I do remember a moment when I was starting out and trying to get in with this agent. And I remember feeling like I was trying too hard. I remember feeling like I was reaching so far to try to create this image of myself that I'm worthy of being a professional actor, and working too hard on my materials. And in the interview, I remember hearing myself talk and go, "Who are you?" I'm trying to project this image of what I think a professional actor should be. And I felt the agent kind of start to pivot away in his chair. And in that moment, when he started to turn his chair, I was like, I'm not really talking to that person right now. I'm not even in my own skin. So it was the moment that I realized no one could do me more perfectly than me. Like, I'm a perfect Patrick Sabongui, and nobody else can do that. And once I started to embrace that, then my question was always, how does Patrick Sabongui do this? How does Patrick Sabongui do a resume? What kind of headshot does Patrick Sabongui have? And constantly asking myself, what sets me apart from, how do I do this? What's going to be fun for me? What image do I want to, so I know it keeps coming back around to the same thing, but this is what, as an actor, this is what the unique thing you have to offer is yourself. Does that make sense?
No, that was incredibly helpful. And I think it's so true because we're always trying to, like you said, there'll be 70 people who will do the same line. So that's the only thing that will set you apart. But that's so true.
Yeah. And like even trying to get an agent, I realized he's not trying to hire the other 70 actors, or he's not trying to sign on the other 7. He's trying to get to know who I am. So if I don't show that agent or that casting director who I am, they don't really get to see me. They're not getting what they're there to get, which is me.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Patrick. We've got a question from Candy. Candy, if you want to unmute yourself and ask, and otherwise I'll read it out from the comments.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Patrick, so thank you so much for everything you shared. Really awesome. And I love the flash.
Oh, thanks.
Really cool. But I had a question. So how do you feel like you can connect with your character? Like what are some things that help you connect and just like love that character without like any distance? Like it just feels like you are that person.
Oh.
Does that help you? Like how do you do that?
Yeah. So there is a moment. There's this intersection between the actor and the character, where you are actually connected, and that moment is in playing the action. So I'm sure you guys work with objectives and tactics and actions, right? So if this moment is me trying to get this character to smile, right? In the moment that I'm genuinely just like trying to get them to smile, let's go, come on. In that moment where I'm consumed in the action, there is no distinction between me and the character. We are the same because we are the action. And that's how character is defined, by the actions you take to get what you want. You see what I'm saying? So that specific, even if it's one line, doesn't matter what the words are, what I'm gonna do is get you to smile. I'm gonna get you to smile. I'm gonna get you to smile. And my head is doing a million things. I'm like aware of the light. I'm aware of the camera. I'm aware of like, oh, now I'm looking at the lens. But then through all of that noise, and I gotta remember my lines, and the costume person told me not to slouch over because then you can see my chest hair. So I'm thinking of a million things. But through all of that mess, at some point, I'm gonna lock eyes with my scene partner and go, smile. And in that moment, I am the character. I know it's contradicting what I said is that I don't actually become the character, but that's the magic of acting, is that in that moment, a character is defined by what they do. So you're seeing a real human being as I'm just trying to get that person to smile. And so I look for that in every moment, in every script, in every scene. Even while my script analysis is trying to go, yeah, but what do they do? How are they trying to change that other person? Because in taking action on my scene partner is how I connect to my humanity. Because now that character is going to, intimidate or tickle or shake or, you're going to do something to that other person in a way that's unique to Patrick Sabongui.
Patrick, you managed to pack a lot into half an hour. There's always some folks, especially some of the younger folks, who need to leave right at 4.
Okay.
So can you and so we can keep talking as if you've got extra minutes, great. But I want to give you the chance to plug the Fulfilling Young Artists just before the young folks log off, because there's a lot of people here who might not know about it.
Oh yeah. Fulfilling Young Artists is a mentorship program that I started, that we worked on together. Michael was there from the beginning. What we try to do in the program is we try to match young actors with more experienced actors and get them together to work on pursuing fulfillment. So fulfillment is really getting the rewards from your work that isn't dependent on someone else. It's not about the paycheck. It's not about the credit on IMDb. It's about doing work that's meaningful to you, and that doing the work is what its own reward is. And so the mentorship program is free for participants. It's only open for a certain age group. So it's people that have just graduated from theater school. So say 18 to about 25, 26, because we wanted to respond to that need for people when they get out of theater school, to get oriented in the business and to try to figure out what steps to take next. And, you know, it's been running for about 8 or 9 years. And it's one of the most fulfilling things that I've been a part of, because I help young actors really find their own unique creative voices.
Beautiful. Is it fulfillingyoungartists.com or .ca or?
Fulfillingyoungartists.com.
Right. Little folks, anybody who needs to take off, Patrick, do you have a couple of minutes to?
Yeah, sure.
Great. There's 2 questions in the chat window right now. One, does it ever get stressful on set? And then a follow-up, how do you deal with any politics on set?
Ooh, interesting. Does it get stressful on set? Honestly, not when I'm acting. When I'm the actor, it's not my department, like they could be behind schedule. The wire rig could fall apart and this camera could be on the fritz, and none of that is my job today. I'm here, I'm present, I'm ready, I'm prepared. And if they don't get this scene, it's not my fault. I'm here ready to do my job. And so I acknowledge the stress that other people are feeling. But if I'm being honest, as an actor, I consciously go, man, I'm glad I'm not in charge of that camera. Because I'm there to do my job. I'm the head of this department. So as long as the Patrick Sabongui department is prepared and ready to go, I don't really, there's nothing for me to get stressed about.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
And so how do you deal with any politics on set?
Do you mean like political politics or on-set politics?
I don't know what they mean, but I would love to hear the answer to whichever question you're most interested in answering.
Well,
especially right now.
Dia, did you ask that?
Yeah, it was from Dia.
Can we get clarification? Because I'd love to answer whichever.
There we go. Got to ask her to unmute. There you go.
Just like sometimes if you're on set and there's personalities that are.
Oh, okay. Local politics, like on-set politics.
Just dealing with, yeah.
Okay, well, okay, here's something, and it's kind of weird to say sometimes. I'll start by saying this. Each of you is a movie star, right? Every single one of you. If you're telling stories as an artist, to me, you're a movie star. And every moment that you are responsible for is as important as any other moment. Okay? Always remember that. I don't care if you have no lines or one line. You're a full-blown human being and you have the right to be there. And you're a star in that moment. But if we're talking about a professional set, you also have a job to do. Your job in the real world could be flipping burgers or driving a bus or teaching a class, right? Those are all jobs. And if you're on set as a professional, that's your job today. You're there to be an actor today. You're also an artist, but you also have a job description to fill. And here's the secret, and it's taken me 20 years to be able to put this into words. Your job is a little bit different if you're number 1 on the call sheet or if you're number 57 on the call sheet and you only have 1 line. You kind of have a slightly different job. If you only have 1 line, they haven't scheduled in a whole bunch of creative exploration time for your character. You know what I'm saying? Like they're ready to go like, stay the line, and keep it moving. So in terms of like on-set politics, it depends what my job is that day. If I'm number 1 that day and I've got all this heavy lifting, then I expect, to engage in those conversations and, seek justice and like, no, I need my costume to be, and we have to have these creative conversations. If I just got the one line today, I don't deal with those politics because I'm just doing my job today.
If
Do you know what I
you're
mean?
a star, like co-star, and you've got leads or someone like, you know what I'm saying? If it's a bit more, but you're not sure, should you check with the director? Should you always check? Who should you be always making sure is, the most, how sometimes someone will say, why don't you try it like this? Why don't you do that? Something like that.
Oh, that's a lot.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's an interesting question, and it's really a case-by-case basis, and it depends who's speaking, and who that person is that you're engaging with. But if it's the lead, if they're number one on the call sheet, I tend to appreciate that they have a lot of responsibility on their shoulders, and so I do make allowances for their creative input. I don't appreciate being directed by them, and I'll always go like, oh, okay, well, let's check with Michael if he agree. Michael, I'll always refer back to the director because that's the only person who's responsible for collaborating on my performance. But if that lead has to go on and, establish their dominance and let your place, you're there to service the production to a certain extent. So you have every right in the world to preserve your own integrity and never compromise that. But if it's not something that is crucial to you, I'll let that lead have their tantrum and I'll just go sit in my chair and come back when it's over. I don't feel like, so it really depends on the situation. Or if it is your scene though, if you're the guest star, but this is your big moment where you're crying and wailing and you've got all the heavy lifting, then it is appropriate for you to demand to take a little bit more space. Right? Perfect. It's a loaded question. I hope I answered it.
No, I understand what you're saying. And I like that taking time away and just sort of sitting, that's really...
Pick your battles too, because I do believe that it's a job. We're being artists and we're all movie stars, great. But this is also my job. And so I'm going to pick my battles. And if I can just step back and let them work it out, then, when they're ready for my department, I'll come back. But if I need to establish some kind of dynamic so that I can do my work, then my integrity trumps it all, right? You're responsible for your department. You know what you need to do, give your best performance.
Wonderful.
I love that frame, Patrick. You're responsible for your department.
Right. Yeah.
Quote you in the short version.
Well, it's crucial because I'm also a helpful guy. Yes. And I like camera stuff and I like lighting stuff. And I found myself on set. I'm trying to help the wardrobe person. I'm trying to help the prop guy. Oh no, I'll reset the clock. Or I'm trying to collaborate with everybody. And then I realized wait, I'm distracting from what I'm here to do. I'm in charge of this. Not my wardrobe, not my props, but connecting with my scene partner. That's my department. So today when I'm here as an actor, I'm going to let everybody else do their thing, and I can't overextend myself to help them in their departments because then I'm not paying attention to mine.
Okay. Do we have any final questions for Patrick? We've run a bit over time. Patrick, thank you so much for making time for us today. Let me give everybody the power to unmute themselves so that y'all can tell Patrick, how great he was. There, you're all unmutable.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you
Michael.
so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, Michael.
See you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Best of luck to all of you.
Bye.
You, Josh, Steve, Glenn.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. All right, Michael. I'll speak with you
Patrick,
soon.
that was so fantastic. Thank you again.
Thank
you.
All right. Bye, guys.